A.C.B.A.
All right, so I'm gonna just pick up right where I left off. Mojo single release dropping before the 3-pack version. Was this by design or did this happen in error? The paint apps between the two are definitely different, right?
Yeah, they're definitely different. The one in the Hasbro Pulse Deluxe set is going to have a lot more of the gray spots, a different shade, a lot more paint ops, I would say. It wasn't really an error. It was just we wanted to give an opportunity for people who might not have Hasbro Pulse, just like an opportunity to get Mojo because he's such an iconic character too, you know what I mean? And we knew that not everybody would want the box set. And so we just thought it would be a good opportunity to, you know, put him out there too.
The timing got a little screwed up because, to be honest with you, when we were developing the Mojo World set and the Iron Man, the retro Iron Man with the cannon, those were going to be San Diego Comic-Con timed, but because we didn't know if we were going to Comic-Con or what was happening, this was still in the pandemic. So then, you know, once we decided we were at Comic-Con, but then they weren't selling anything. So then we revealed the Mojo pack, then there were shipping delays, and then we saved the Iron Man for PulseCon at the end of September. So ideally, we would have had the Mojo World and the Iron Man around July, and then the single release in October.
Got it.
Because things kind of got switched around and delays and what have you. So then it kind of, the order got flip-flopped. But to Dan's point, the items are different. The deco is different, not only on the color, but also on some of the chair details and stuff. Yeah. And it was whoever didn't want to get it on Pulse, maybe didn't want the kind of fun set with Longshot and Dazzler and the Wolvie, to do a single release.
Okay, it seems like there's some assembly required for Mojo based on the new windowless packaging. Has the packaging created any unforeseen challenges for the team? Is the windowless packaging going to be the standard moving forward? Everybody keeps asking about that.
So in terms of we did it with MODOK was I think the best example, where it was a deluxe figure that came in pieces and you had to put them together. Should be kind of obvious. I don't think we include instructions.
It's easier than MODOK. So if you had a hard time with MODOK, Mojo is a lot simpler and easier to assemble.
Mojo you could see how it fit together, but there was a certain way to do it. But in terms of packaging, yes, that will be the new standard for your typical waved items and your standalone exclusives, like we were doing with the Spider-Man 60th. There's potential for things that are meant to be nostalgic on a blister card in 3 3/4 and potentially 6-inch, but they're still looking at it. But we're not really going back to the window box era really for everything across Legends. It's gonna be mostly closed boxes.
Got it. Last time Fabio had asked you guys about future cell shaded figures, specifically the Spider-Man series. It seems you guys have confirmed that we're going to be doing Spider-Man in 2023. What do you guys want to do differently with Spider-Man that you didn't do with X-Men, and what do you want to do better?
Well, it's already going to be different because instead of single VHS tapes, these are actually 2-packs. So there are going to be more 2-packs come in your way. I think once you see the final line of VHS stuff for next year, there's going to be a lot of interest, and I think a lot of fans who are not normally happy with cel-shaded stuff, they'll see what innovations we do bring to those characters that I think they will be kind of happy to.
So the first set that we teased at PulseCon, which is the Symbiote, Spider-Man, and Carnage, we've had recent versions of those figures, but the other 2-packs, I think it's safe to say there will be characters and looks that are not just cel-shaded deco treatments, new characters, right? Got it. We're really leaning into that.
Okay. You guys showed the renders for the armored up Gamora at PulseCon. Is she part of another What If theme wave or specifically a Disney Plus wave?
She will not be in a What If wave.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. The original look for the Guardians of the Galaxy Star-Lord coming our way. How about members of that original crew, like maybe a comic Yondu? I know people have been asking for that for a long time.
I think that's on the list. I don't think we can get to every single one of the comic Guardians, but I think we've heard Yondu for a couple of years now, especially after the 3 3/4 one.
Exactly. And the Star-Lord is on the Vulcan body? All right. Any new artists coming on to do box art that you guys could give us hints for? People ask specifically about David Nakayama and Ken Lashley.
We've worked with both of them a lot in the past. I actually don't know. Ben and the creative services team does all that outreach. But I got to imagine David is on speed dial, And I'm not sure when the last time Ken has done any work, but he's got a good, we got a good connection with him too.
Okay. I asked about this 2 times before, but is the possibility of a new Legendary Riders series on the table now that we've kind of dove into that realm with HasLab with the vehicles? Maybe some smaller, cheaper things, some things made to order for Hasbro Pulse or something like that.
So in terms of would we ever go back to doing like smaller individual vehicles and riders, I think maybe. Certainly if this project got funded and demonstrated a demand for Ghost Rider, that would make us want to do Danny Ketch on a motorcycle.
Right.
The quick turnaround. But in terms of your other part of the question of just HasLabs in general and smaller items versus $500+ items, we're looking at the full range. I think you can go kind of either way. A lot of the HasLabs to this point have been in that 3 to 4, right? And so I think there's potential to go under and higher, but that's the Pulse team's input and Marvel's input and everyone.
Got it. I think we're all in agreement that the success of the HISS tank kind of fueled the idea for this current HasLab with the Robbie Reyes Engine of Vengeance. Was there something in mind before the Engine of Vengeance that took a backseat based on how well the HISS tank did?
So the HISS tank,
it wasn't because of the HISS tank.
We're working so far in advance. We probably got started earlier on this than the HISS tank.
So the HISS tank was like a surprise to you guys too, then maybe, huh?
Well, so we try to take learnings from the other HasLabs, and I don't think anyone would say the reason that the HISS tank did so well was because of things like the early bird special. But we saw that mechanism, and that's kind of why we tried it, and it didn't necessarily work out for Marvel, but. We're always kind of learning from
honestly, others. To be fair, I'm going on script a little bit here. The early bird special for the HISS tank, personally, I didn't really care about it. I think the early bird special for the Engine of Vengeance made more sense. It didn't move me either way with the HISS tank. I was going to get the HISS tank anyway. I backed that. I got one. In the previous interview, Fabio had asked you guys about plans on an updated Terrax. We know that we're going to get Terrax as part of a 2-pack with the updated deco, but essentially he's the same as the Build-A-Figure released back in the day. Why not something new?
We had that in the library. Legend's been going on for so long that not all the tooling is still exists, to be honest with you, but the Terrax one did, and we were just looking for a fun item, fun multi-pack on for the Pulse, and
it was themed to Galactus.
That was the main reason why.
As far as the character himself, he's not off the list of characters we're looking at. So, but because we did put him out just recently, I wouldn't expect the Terrax to come out immediately next year.
Right. I mean, there's still options for other deco looks for Terrax, though. Exactly. I think the major issue right now with collectors in terms of Legends is pricing. We talked about that a bit earlier in the weekend. The value of an item versus what it costs. Personally, I think it's an easy fix offering at least 2 sets of hands and heads with every figure, 3 sets of hands with more expressive, agile characters. How can we get you guys to commit to this moving forward?
So let me answer your question with the question. If I went to a burger joint, this actually happened, right? There was a tomato shortage. There was a sign on the register that said, "We are in a tomato shortage. We apologize. If you would like tomatoes, we have to charge you an additional 25 cents because whatever change, their raw ingredients is going up."
Right.
If I were to say, "Sure, give me tomatoes on my burger," or "You're going to give me more tomatoes, right?" And they're going to say, "No, because it's their tomato shortage. We are raising price because our costs for tomatoes are going up." Even though you have to pay more, you are not getting more for it. We are raising prices to offset costs. So to your point, the prices are going up because the cost of inputs are going up. If we were to when we have done deluxe figures, we introduced new SKUs, $50 SKUs, right? A couple years ago. Yeah, we're going to give you more to justify that because a MODOK is worth more than a standard $20 figure at the time. So that's a point to say we do what we can, but the point of these price increases is not to include more in the box. It is to offset all of these other things that are going on in the industry and in the world. So I think that's an important, it's a fair thing to ask for, but if you kind of think about it, that is, unless you're introducing a new price point for strategic reasons of new form factors or larger scale things, we're not doing it to put more things in. And I think you'll see that across the industry. But we hear you, and we fight all the time. We stretch our costs as much as we can. There's some figures where we go all out. Where we go 2 alternate heads, multiple hands. And then there are some figures where we have to make the tougher judgment call of not including as much as we would have liked to.
All right, well, just putting it out there again as far as accessory packs. I know you guys had asked me to ask how that could be done, and I'm gonna think about it and try to get back to you guys with that too.
Definitely hear you about, you know, heads and hands. It's just like Ryan is basically saying, like, if you want more heads and hands, the price is also gonna go
up. Right, understood.
One more thing about that, for Spider-Man, a character we all love, the hands on Spider-Man are more expensive because of the deco. Undecoed hands are much cheaper. That's why a lot of times, like, why does Spider-Man not have all 6 hands? It's because we can't put all 6 hands with all the lines everywhere at times 6.
Understood.
That just brings your deco op count way up high.
How about army builders on Hasbro Pulse? How come you guys don't just infinitely offer them on Hasbro Pulse? What's the deal with that?
So the deal with that is because we call a number up front, and then we do a production run, and then once you sell through that, you need to commit to a full another production run to get. So you can't just say, oh, put a handful more pieces out, and also like they were done at an earlier time too, where we were able to build value in at the time. I think they were $15 when the standard Legends was $20. I don't know that the economics in today's kind of environment works a similar way. But we had a good run. We had a couple of singles. We had a 2-pack army builder, and so maybe 2-packs might be more of the way to go than kind of the singles. But we'll continue to look at it.
There will be a 2-pack army builder. Next time.
All right. Now that the Jim Lee costume figures are on the way, Wolverine's going to be first up. Are there any plans to kind of do that same thing with the New Mutants? We've been talking about that for a while too.
I think we'd like to.
I mean, we'd love to. We'd love to complete a lot of the different X teams, you know? Yeah, but it's just always competing priorities of balancing which characters and teams that we want to fulfill.
If we did it, I would want to do it not just on the Moonstar kind of, like the new female.
Right. How about Banshee? He's on the new Vulcan buck?
I'm not sure if he's on the Vulcan.
I don't think he's on the
I have to take a closer look at the render that we revealed, but he looks great. I've seen how the wings kind of go, and I'm happy with them. And yeah, the 2 heads are really fun.
Okay. Bullseye from the upcoming 3-pack. Is he packed in with a pistol?
He's not.
No. Okay. Are you guys working on diaphragm joints on both male and female bucks? Maybe something similar to what the Joes have as far as that upper torso articulation.
So every day I had to bother Dwight about the toes. The new thing for me is that kind of articulation scheme.
Okay.
So that is my #1 marketing ask.
Okay. All right. That's good to hear. And kind of in the same vein, any plans for ball jointed wrists? This is not something that I want personally. Honestly, this was a question from somebody else. I'm okay with the alternating up and down and left and right wrist articulation, but if it was possible, would you guys look into maybe doing a ball jointed wrist?
I think it depends on the market too, about what fans really want, right? Like if that is definitely what the top priority of the collectors is, we definitely take a look at it, evaluate it, you know what I mean?
It's more for those characters who have certain accessories that you want them to hold it in the right way. I'm sure Dwight has looked at it.
I know he has.
This was actually my last question from the other day. Something that hasn't been done that each of you want to see done at some point. A character, vehicle, whatever it may be. Something that you'd like to work on personally.
I would like to work on a modular diorama system in the 6-inch scale.
Okay.
Something that works. You know, I'm inspired by like the NECA street scene diorama. You could get a bunch of those and put them together, but even something a little more kind of complex like that, but to build it out where it's kind of like the Stiltman analogy, where some people buy so many, hand ninjas to make a 10-foot tall Stiltman. Like what's the diorama?
Right. What can you keep adding on to just make it better? Maybe a lab scene.
Danger Room, Hall of Armor. Those are 2 of my favorite go-to concepts.
I know you guys saw the Disney Hall of Armor sets that people have been using. I think we talked about that before too. I think that would be a big seller for you guys. So something to think about there for sure. How about you, Dan?
So I really want a Blackbird, whether that be in 3 3/4 inch scale, and maybe use that to introduce something like newer, like maybe a newer articulated more 3 3/4 scale kind of thing. I know in 1/112 scale, a Blackbird is kind of honestly a little impossible just because of the sheer size. But I would love to take a challenge at that, just because I love the Blackbird.
Listen, The Razor Crest is something that I backed. I have it. I keep it on permanent display at my crib. It's nice. So a 3 3/4 inch Blackbird I think is doable for you guys for sure. That would be dope. But yeah, just getting back to the HasLab. Anything else you guys want to clarify or expand on?
Yeah, so I had a whole spiel.
Okay.
But that's because I think, this community, you guys are knowledgeable and you talk about it on a weekly basis. So these are the kinds of things that, it goes beyond just liking or disliking something. So just first off, 2 quick points. One, I think it's up to everyone whether how they choose to spend their money. So if someone says if something is not worth it to me, I would never try to dissuade them. Number 2, in terms of the character, yes, we're aware that everyone has their Ghost Rider, right? For most people who grew up in the 90s, that's probably Johnny Blaze or Danny Cash. Clearly, Robbie Reyes is a 2014 creation. He's cool, but that might not be someone's iconic version. We understand that, so we're not debating that. The thing that I wanted to talk more about, and Brian Flynn of Super 7 gave this actually awesome interview that I learned a lot in for the Thunder Tank back with Pixel Dan. But he was explaining the concept of amortization with these large tooling investment items. When you have a normal item that's sold multi-channel at a Walmart or an Amazon, any company is selling many, many thousands of pieces of that. So you're able to take the tooling expense of a single 6-inch figure and it gets amortized over many, many thousands of units. When you're taking a large vehicle that is many hundreds of thousands of dollars of units and you're talking about a production run in the, if you're lucky, 10 or maybe several multiples of 10, but closer to 10,000 units, you are amortizing that tooling over a much smaller range. For instance, if something costs $200,000, not saying that that's any item in particular, and you sell 10,000, that means for each piece, you're basically spending $20 just to cover your tooling. If you were to double that and sell 20,000 units, now that you have your tooling and you're only spending 10, that's how the tiers work, where at a higher number of backers, you're amortizing that tooling over more and you're basically getting more cost to work with. And so that's how you can do more tiers. And then these tiers, in our instance, the additional figures, are additional tooling as well. So for those people who say, well, why don't everything is costed into the 350, you should just throw it all in one package. We could do that, but again, you'd have to amortize it up to the range, so you just jump to the 12 that Mephisto was at. What the tiers lets us do is let us fund the project at a lower level by making those tiers kind of like nice to haves and not just bake everything in all together. So the tiers is almost like working kind of backwards. But that's the thing I would want people to convey to people, that these vehicles, these huge play sets that other companies are doing, it is such a huge investment, not only in development resources, time, marketing effort, but it's like the dollars to cut the steel. And once you do that, you really need to start to pay that off. And that's why just a couple thousand backers can really swing something. You might think, oh, what's the difference between 10 or 12? The numbers kind of bear that out, again, because it's such an expensive cost. And so I think that's just tough to consider when I think people are saying, oh, they should just clearly do X, Y, and Z. And it's like, from the economic sense, that's not how it works. But again, if it all goes back to, hey, there's so many awesome things in the market, my wallet's being stretched thin, I can't support this because I want to support something else, another line, we're totally here for that, and we totally understand that, and we would not try to, argue that point. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out.
I just want to really point out that Ryan saved that spiel just for the ACBA community, just because he values and he understands how knowledgeable the ACBA community is, and that's how much we, as within Hasbro, value you guys. You know what I mean? Excellent. He's been saving that for so long just to speak it to you guys, because if he explains that to some other website that doesn't really know or doesn't really honestly care as much as you guys do, it would just go over their head. You know what I mean? So
it's these audiences that you guys talk about something for 2 hours, and that's different than making a 3-minute YouTube rant video that's basically a hot take.
Right, exactly.
Right? So that's why, agree or disagree, there you have it.
We are going to see another reveal or tier at some point, right? It's not going to be this weekend, but you guys are holding something else close to the vest, huh?
We hope to be honest with you. This HasLab, we're having discussions every day on what to do next. We thought that we might be able to reveal it here in New York. For whatever reason, we were not able to. We hope that before Halloween we get a little more traction in the positive direction, and then you know, with more momentum, I think other stakeholders then become comfortable with some of our marketing ideas.
Got it.
But we just have to operate within the confines of everyone involved. And yeah, we hope you can see it soon.
All right, great. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you. This is part 2. I trekked all the way down here today for this, and these guys cut out more of their time for this, so I hope you guys appreciate this. Thank you to Dan and Ryan. I appreciate you guys so much.
Only love, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you for braving the crowds.
Yes,
the crowds
thank
are
you.
insane here.
I'm in the game, I'm grinding. I got to play 24 hours in a day, 7 days out the week. I never sleep. I'm on my grizzly bear, 52 weeks out the year.